Welcome to Adulting Decrypted, the show where we break down the complex code of common conundrums into logical living in effort to decrypt the code we call adulting. We are your host. I'm Roscoe, the dad.
I'm Gene.
I'm Gideon.
And I'm Ashton, the college student.
All right, today we're going to talk about laundry. Laundry is always such a fun subject. Gene, I think you started off the question when you said, Dad, when and why do I have to do laundry?
Why, Dad? Why do I have to do my laundry?
Very well, Gene. That sounded just like you.
Made it sound like he was having some sort of crisis. Like, Dad,
Why?
Why?
Well,
Why do I have to do laundry?
Let's be honest, Gene. When did the crisis start for you on doing laundry?
When I had to do it myself?
And how long ago did that start?
I don't remember. I try to block traumatic things out of my memory.
That was fairly traumatic of you starting to have to do your own laundry. But we were sitting downstairs a couple weeks ago, and Gene was complaining that he was out of clothes. And the first thing his mom and I thought, specifically underwear. So the first thing that we thought we had to figure out is, do we have to go buy him new underwear? And what was your statement, Gene? Are you pleading the fifth?
He was so dumbfounded.
I don't remember.
You actually said, well, I probably have enough. I just haven't washed my clothes in 7 days or 8 days. So,
I'm sure it was longer than that.
So that's kind of where I wanted to start. I think setting up a rhythm or a ritual of laundry is probably the first step in really doing your laundry correctly. For some of you, it might be as simple as coming home. Ashton, did we see you often when you were at college?
No.
Yeah, we really didn't have you come home and do laundry. But Sabrina, we knew that it was a Saturday because Sabrina would bebop into the house, throw her laundry in, do her laundry, and bebop out after visiting for a little bit and have clean clothes and take back off. Why would she do this, you might ask?
Because she doesn't have to pay for it.
That's right. Laundry outside of home costs money. I did some research. Anybody have any guesses on what average laundry costs are, or do you remember?
I remember.
For me, when I lived up at college, we had a laundry machine that I could use, but it was a quarter-based laundry machine. And I think...
Coin operated.
Yeah, per load... I got... Actually, I don't remember. I think it was around like $2 or something.
Yeah, $2 a load would be on the higher end for Utah. But obviously different parts in different areas would be higher. Right now, our local laundromat down in Pleasant Grove is $1.50 for the washer, $1.50 for the dryer, right? But that obviously varies based on where you're at in the country. So some of you might be asking the real adult question is, when should I buy a washer and dryer? Anybody have any thoughts on when they should buy a washer dryer? Is that too adult?
Maybe it's when mom and dad's is broken.
Fair, or you can't drive home, right?
Right.
Well, Trent Ham wrote an article, The Cost of Comparing the Dollar for Laundry, and we'll put his notes in our podcast, but he went through and did a bunch of research for us, so thank you. A shout out there. If he basically did the math, and he said, okay, based on having to pay $1.50 per load for wash and $1.50 for dryer, and assuming that you can buy an average washer and dryer in the a comparable washer dryer combo for about $1,500, it's going to take you 609 loads to decide whether you should buy a washer or dryer. That's a lot, right? He took into cost... Oh, go ahead. He took into cost what it costs to run the water, what it costs to run the dryer. Because what does the dryer use mostly at our house?
Air.
It does use air, but air's free.
Electricity.
Yeah, it's an electric dryer, right? So to get the drying coils up to temperature, it runs some electricity. So that's part of our electric bill that's including in there, and he went through and did some fun math. It was a great article.
So to run back what you said, he said it was going to take somewhere around 600 loads to be the equivalent of purchasing your own washer dryer?
Correct. Buying your own and putting it in your house or something. So if you figured you do a load a week, 2 loads a week, right? Because you'd have 2 types of clothes, and we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, so imagine that you had 2 loads a week, 650 loads is about 300 weeks, right?
Yeah, so it's at that point that the quarter wash becomes more expensive than your own personal washer dryer.
Correct. That's the break-even point, right?
Gotcha.
So, but there's other reasons why it's nice to have a laundry dryer at home because of the convenience, right?
And you don't have to share with random people who may or may not move your clothing while you're not around.
That's true, but there's a reason why it is more convenient because you could do 4 or 5 different loads all at one time.
That's true, yeah. You can't do that at home.
No. In the video podcast that we see Gideon doing, he got pretty restless at about how many minutes was on the wash?
There was 2, but for the washing machine, it was about 5 or 10.
Yeah, it started driving him bonkers, but you can't shut off the washer early, right? Because it still has a specific process that it goes through. But can you shut off the dryer early?
I did.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know whether or not you can, but it happened.
Yep, you shut it off because you got bored, right?
Yep.
And so there are reasons why people choose to have a washer dryer and go to a laundry mat, right, to do their clothes, and there's reasons why they do it here. For example, there was one time when I was younger that I was kind of in a hurry, and I thought, I've got a lot of whites in particular in this day, and I just had a couple colored clothes that I could get away with washing or needing to wash, and I thought it'd be real quick if I just threw in some pants that I had bought recently from when I was over in Taiwan. They were blue in nature. They weren't blue jeans, but they were blue dress pants, and I just threw them in with some white clothes. What do you think happened on that?
You got some baby blue. You got some baby blue clothes.
I did have some baby blue whites for quite a while. As a matter of fact, I dyed most of the clothes in there.
What you really should have done is you should have put a rubber band around them a couple times, and then you'd have nice tie-dye.
Some fun tie-dye white shirts. Yeah, it would have been a good time. Yeah, you're right, Ashton. Had I been thinking that far ahead, I probably would have realized not to throw the blue in there with the other colors.
Oh, fair enough, yeah. Fair enough.
But, it was all in purpose to speed up the process. A couple other things I've done in order to speed up the process is pull clothes out while they're still wet. Gideon, are you sure your clothes were dry when you pulled them out?
They were not cold.
They were damp, is what he's saying.
Yeah, so having warm clothes and having dry clothes are 2 separate issues. Now, in the state of Utah, we can get away with that because most stuff dries fairly quickly here.
Well, that and our climate is very dry. It's not humid.
We are in a desert, right?
Right.
If you try to pull that stunt back east or in Taiwan where I was at, they would set wet for the entire week.
Mm-hmm.
They never would quite dry. So there are times that has happened.
It kind of brings up a funny story that happened not too long ago. I was doing my laundry, and I was mid-finals week and mid-new job and everything, and I needed some clothes washed, so I put them in the washer. Had 2 separate loads that I did, right? They went through the washer, I threw them in the dryer, and then at that point, I got busy and I forgot about them until like a day later. And I went down and found that someone had cycled the rest of my clothes through and put them in a hamper for me, and I'm like, oh yeah, sweet, So my clothes are done, and it was very kind of someone to push them through, and it was probably because they needed to get their stuff down as well. Later, I learned that my sister had grown impatient and put my clothes through the dryer as well as the washer, but then didn't check to see if they had dried. And so I pick up my hamper, and it was full of sopping wet clothes.
Most clothes only need to go through the dryer once.
And normally they do. Normally they do. But, most of the time you don't pull clothes out of the dryer until they're dry, because the whole point of the dryer is to dry the clothes.
But
That's
they
fair.
were done.
They probably weren't done. In all fairness, something that to clarify to help those listeners out that don't know us as well, everybody in the house washes their own clothes, excluding Dad. Mom does most of Dad's clothes.
Aw, how cute.
Let's say all of Dad's clothes, actually, which is very convenient for Dad. There are times that I do wash my own clothes if it's a hand washed item, and then that's something to be aware of. Where do you find out how to wash your clothes? What's required?
On the little white tag thing.
Have you noticed though it's weird on the little white tag? They now have pictures. How do you know what to do when you see pictures? Gene, Gideon, anybody?
You look at them?
Yeah, but the pictures aren't really that self-explanatory, are they? Or are they? Am I just missing it? I looked like hieroglyphic.
Hieroglyphics? Is that the word you're looking for?
Yeah, that's a big word.
Apparently. I feel like most of them are pretty easy to figure out, but the one, like, for example, the do not like dry wash or dry clean only.
Correct.
There's the sign with the little laundry machine and the X through it.
That was easy.
Yeah, that one's easy. And the what's the other one? The iron one that has the X through it, like don't iron or it's okay to iron.
Right.
Like those ones I understand, but there's also some weird ones where it's I don't know what they're talking about.
Right. So I've had we're Google. Right. I've gone like, okay, crap. I don't understand what this tag's telling me. I have to Google it. I have to look at it. You brought it up for a second. Dry clean clothes. Good or a bad thing? Clothes that you have to dry clean.
Very inconvenient.
It is, but I mean, why would you just not throw something in the washer and dryer if it is dry clean only? Has anybody screwed that one up?
I'm sure I did at least twice when I was on my mission.
Yeah, you throw something through there. What happens is the way the fabric's made, it's made to withstand certain types of processes. And if you throw one in a washer dryer that's made for dry clean only, you tend to break down the fabrics and the fibers inside, and then they won't hold their shape. Right? They're cut to a certain shape, certain design, certain styles. Just like a sweater, if you ever throw a sweater through the washer and then the dryer, guess what happens? A sweater that normally would fit Ashton is probably then built for Gideon.
Yoda.
We have given the dog a few sweaters over the years, haven't we? Let him wear a few of them. But yeah, they shrink, they change and they twist, and then sometimes they just stretch in weird and awkward ways. So you always need to read the label and make sure that you follow the label. Some items are even cold wash. That's something that I think we forget about. Sometimes we just go, oh, it's all just normal warm wash. I was washing some dirt bike stuff the other day, and it's cold water only, which I thought was weird for items that are wore outside and abused, but it's cold water wash.
Okay, so you had me curious, and I quick Googled some symbols, and I hope I don't take this from you, but it's actually kind of interesting, because I remember one that I saw a lot was a triangle, and I don't know about you, but when I think of triangle and washing, nothing comes to mind. Yeah? Fair?
Agreed.
No cheating. So it actually means bleach when needed. It means you can bleach your clothes. So I'm going to pop quiz everyone because I don't know, and now we're going to know. So if there's a triangle and it has two lines going through it making...
A diagonal?
Yeah, two diagonal lines through.
Yep.
What does that mean?
No bleach.
No.
Oh.
Constantly bleach.
Just always bleach your clothes. No. You know, Dad?
That you have to use a color-safe bleach.
That could be true. I'm not sure. It just says non-chlorine bleach when needed.
Yeah, because chlorine has that smell, right?
Yeah.
And it will break down the fibers different. But yeah, go ahead.
Fair enough. And then there's an X through triangle, which means do not bleach. And then there's one, like you talked about temperatures.
Mm-hmm.
For this key, I don't know if it's universal for everything, but the amount of dots correlates to how much temperature it can take, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So for this one, with one dot, it's 80 degrees Fahrenheit. 2 dots is 105. 3 dots, 120. All the way up to 6, which is 200 Fahrenheit. All those units are. And
why does that matter? Why does hotter water, what does it do? What's the difference between hot and a cold wash?
I was always under the impression the hotter it gets, the more likely it is to shrink your clothes. But I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
for your
it
clothes.
could shrink your clothes. Absolutely. I mean, that's part of it. But think about hot water on hands. Do you prefer to wash your hands in hot water or cold water? What's the advantage?
Well, I've been told that hot water gets your hands cleaner, but it also tends to hurt.
Too hot of water will definitely hurt.
If you get it too warm. But I don't.
No, you're right. No, the hotter the water, the more likely it is to get it out. And that brings us to the next point that I want to talk about was staining.
Okay.
So one of the questions that started this whole thing is how often do you have to wash? Go ahead, Gene.
When you don't have any more clothes to wear.
That's one time. But then there's also the time that you're out to dinner or you're over at a friend's house and you spill something on your favorite shirt. How soon should you be getting that in the wash?
As soon as possible.
Is that the only step taken, Gideon, when you do something like that?
Mom has this cool spray stuff.
Called?
Spray stuff.
Spray and wash? Okay. Okay, go ahead, and then what?
And then you spray it on the stain and then rub it in and then wash it like normal.
Yeah, and that works great. But if you're out to college and you're broke in a pinch there's a variety of different things that you can look up and Google it. But go ahead.
I feel like baking soda.
Baking soda works because it breaks down some of those stains. Also, Dawn dish soap's great for grease. Like your soap that you use inside of the kitchen. You can put some of that on and agitate it, between your hands, put a little dot on there and rub it back and forth and help you get the stain out. The sooner you do it, the better chances you have of keeping the stain away. It's not permanent, but when is a stain set and kind of becomes a real hassle?
After you dry it.
Yep. Once you throw it through the dryer and you get it up to those hot temperatures, it's very, very hard to get stuff out. You've almost at that point locked it. There are times that Mom has been able to save stuff for us, by washing it again, a lot of work. Sometimes deep soaking it in detergent, etc., will help her get that out. But yeah, the sooner you get those washed, the better off you are. And sometimes it's even best to keep them wet until you get them to where you can wash them.
Something else that I've seen that's worked, because you're not always going to be able to quick get some Dawn dish soap, rub it on your pants that you just got grease on or whatever.
Well, yeah, sure, because you're out in public, it looks kind of weird, right? You see that guy trying to dry himself in the
his leg with Dawn dish soap.
Yeah, or trying to dry himself in the bathroom. You're like, hey, dude, that's weird.
I have seen that though.
We all have. That's why I brought it.
But I remember seeing this one thing and I used it a couple times and it worked magic. But it's basically like a bleach pen or something. I don't know.
That's correct. Yep.
I don't know if it's
or magic pen. Something like
that.
Called.
And you just literally just draw on your clothes and it goes away, relative to the clothes you're wearing. But I've had those work before.
It's a great tool. Once again,
get to wash your clothes.
Yeah, once again, when you're out and about, they're great tools to have, especially if you have something really nice on or something that you're really excited about. Having one of those maybe in your car or someplace that's accessible, that's a great idea. Good call out, Ashton. All right. One of the questions that I thought was kind of interesting that when we talked about this was, do you need to wash everything every time you wear it? Or is there ever a chance that you can get away with not washing it?
I think that when it doesn't smell good is when you should wash it.
Pretty liberal understanding of it. But that's might be fair. Anything else?
I feel like jeans, like the pants, not me.
Yeah. Hey, Gene, how long can you go without getting washed?
About a week.
The question's not how long can you go.
How long until Mom notices?
We're still waiting for the answer, Gene.
I feel like certain pants you can wait.
He changes the subject.
Wait, for a week or two.
Well, hold on a second. How many
3 or 4 times.
Yeah, jeans are interesting, right? Because there are one of those that you can get away with maybe not washing if they still look good, right? And you haven't soiled them in some manner. Gideon looks at me like that means potty your pants. No, if you've spilled something on them or they look dirty or gross, right? And so you can do that, or you can do Gideon's sniff test. But you're taking a chance on the sniff test because if you put it away and it didn't stink too bad, but you'd wore it some of the day, if you put it on and after about an hour and a half, you start sweating again, those old sweat particles are still in there. and then they can reactivate, and it can smell a lot worse than you thought it was going to. Yes, Ashton.
I know, before I submit this theory, that we've all considered Disney to teach lessons to us at times, right? About
like Disney shows,
like Disney movies, you know, like Frozen taught the importance of family and following your own dreams. Monsters Inc. about removing children from the monster world and then making them laugh instead of scream. You know, valuable life lessons.
Okay.
So Big Hero 6 taught us the lesson, and it comes from, I don't remember the guy's name, but he's the one that has the flamethrowers and he can spin the signs really good.
Fred?
Yeah, Fred.
I feel like it's Fred.
Fred. Yeah, and he's the lizard thing. At the end of the movie, and it's the Stan Lee cameo. He's in his mansion and he walks in, finds his dad's lair, and Fred said this early in the movie, but Stan Lee shows that he's his dad by saying, you know, talking about their underwear. He says, first I wear them front, then back, then inside out, front, and back. And I don't know about you, but Disney's known for teaching good lessons, and I wonder the
validity
realism.
of that.
Yeah. I feel like that could work. Yeah? No?
There's an old adage that Grandma Allen used to tell me. She'd always say you have to wear clean underwear when you go out. That way, if you get in an accident, you're not embarrassed when somebody sees them.
Or just pack a pair of clean underwear.
Yeah, but then you're like, I'm in an accident. Hold on, I got to switch underwear. No, I think it's just easier to wear clean underwear. You know, and in travel, a lot of times I'll take an extra pair of underwear in my carry-on so that I'm not without. So that's one of those things that, to me, there's no compromise. I'm like, once done, move on. But, you know, Ashton, some of that does have to come down to a personal preference, right? But to be a real adult, you probably need to change your underwear daily, and it doesn't mean you change with Gene. Gene changes with Gideon. Gideon changes.
I'm pretty sure no one was confused about that.
It was just inside outside is what really was the question.
I don't think there's like a book club, but like in
gotcha.
Anyway, never mind.
Underwear club?
Yeah.
Okay, enough about that.
I was going to switch the topic.
That's a great idea. So the next question, Gideon, we talked about was soap. Soap, how much soap, what kind of soap? Now, this is interesting. Most of our washer and dryers now are high efficiency, and so that's a different soap than an older washer that agitates. So you need to pay attention to that. If you go to a laundromat to buy soap, you know, it's going to cost you about $2 for a small box of one load use. But if you're willing to go to Walmart, you can pick up for $1 something will do about 8 loads. They say about, you know, average loads. If you do a larger load, you might want to put a little bit more in. A small load, you might put a little bit less in. So you're going to save a lot of money pre-planning and buying your soaps and your dryer sheets from somewhere else, not necessarily the laundromat that you end up using. And then what you do on there is you look at their suggested serving size or usage size. That's one thing where it's real. It's not like ice cream. Ice cream has a suggested serving size of like half a cup, which really isn't a serving size. That's more like a tasting or a sample. But really, when it comes to laundry detergent, it's real. Use the right amount. Use what's suggested on the back of the box. You know, another thing that will work in a pinch is if when I'm traveling a lot, there's times that I actually wash my clothes in a sink if I only need 2 or 3 clothes done. You get the water warm, or you can wash them in a sink and then rinse them off in the sink once you've converted the sink over from dirty, icky laundry water to fresh water. The problem is that it still doesn't feel as clean, but it'll work. It'll help you get clean clothes in a pinch. All right. Anybody ever lose socks in the washer or dryer?
I don't know how they get lost in the washer or dryer, but I think they get lost through the process of doing your laundry.
I have a theory.
Is this a Disney theory?
No. This is my own
sock
theory.
being stuck to the Monster Inc. guy?
No. This is my own that's also plausible. It just gets through the door on accident. But this is something of my own invention, and equally ridiculous, but true, is that if you noticed when you watched Gideon's vlog of the dryer, see how fast it was spinning?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we take us back to the future, you remember that when a car, the DeLorean, gets up to, 80 or 88?
I think it was 80 miles an hour.
Okay, 80 miles
Because that's
an
about
hour.
as fast as the DeLorean would go. But
There you go. And then it travels through time, right?
Oh, yeah.
So here's my theory. Dryer, same concept. When it gets to top speed, it transports one sock. Because it can only do one, and socks are the only thing small enough to actually get teleported. Given the friction of the machine moving, the clothes, and the static electricity that's being created, it creates an accidental portal.
Then why doesn't it transport the trash that I accidentally left in my pocket?
Well, because the trash that you accidentally left in your pocket is probably not made out of the same material that your socks are. The laundry machine can only transport clothing material.
So the flux capacitor only starts at a certain time.
It's only strong enough to transport socks, but it's not weak enough to transport Gideon's Snickers wrappers. Then, after that sock has been then transported, when someone else does their laundry and starts up their dryer, they then receive an unknown sock with them. And this is normally within the same household because dryers can't communicate with each other. That's ridiculous. So
that's the ridiculous part of this story.
So
I felt like the 88 miles per... It was 88 miles per hour because now I just Googled it because I was curious.
Okay. So since the dryer then gets up to 88 miles, it transports it into someone else's wash. And then that's how I ended up with Gideon's Mountain Dew socks. And those are yours, right? Yeah, I've been wearing those. They're comfy.
Good job of shaking your head. Everybody saw that.
They got transported into my wash. Anyway, that's beside the point. So I think that just teleports.
How did you get both of them? Doesn't it only go one at a time?
It does.
Hold on. I'm going to pause this right there. This is a great theory, but not valid. So you guys feel free to use coin-operated laundry mats. The trick I was going to suggest was taking the elastic. You can take elastic bands and put around your socks to keep them together, especially if you're using shared laundry and you're concerned about it and you just want to keep your socks. It saves a step. That's one way. The other way somebody talked about is there's individual baggies that you can actually just put your clothes in. You can go buy a netted bag. And some people use that for their normal laundry. So they'll put all their whites in a laundry bag. They'll put their colors, and then they'll put like their towels in another. And then you can just throw that whole bag in there and it's a wash. It'll cycle and it's all together.
You know, and the reason why that works so well is because then the socks are combined. So then they're overpower the flux capacitor.
They're trapped.
They're not able to transport.
Yeah, it's too big.
Then, it'll try, but it won't get them.
Actually, the real reason is that it can't transport the elastic band.
Oh, is that what it is? It's because the rubber content becomes too high.
Right, or the bag.
All right, so I'm going to really just wrap this back up and go back to what we talked about. When should we wash our clothes? On a ritual, on a frequency. So it depends on you as an individual. I like a once a week wash time, but doesn't always happen. But once a week is always a good ritual. So make sure you have enough underwear so you don't have to share with your brothers, to make sure that you have that you have enough to last for whatever that wash cycle is. Especially if you're moving away for your first time, you want to make sure that you have 8 pair or 9 pairs so that you're not running down there without any. I mean, there's things to think about, right? And so you have one extra that starts your next dirty week. How much soap to use? Follow the serving size or the suggested size on the back of the
serving size.
It is a serving. 1 serving per load. I really don't think it's called a serving size. I think
your
it might be a
washing
U
machine
size.
Eats your soap.
Here comes the airplane.
Woot woot.
The air, you guys are crazy.
Hey, you said serving size.
Yep. Make sure that you have enough coins to go through and do your wash and your dry at the same time, because there's nothing worse than and it happened to Mom and I once. We were on a big trip with the family, and we were doing family bulk loads, and we actually got ourselves locked out of the laundromat when we ran over to get some more change. So be aware of that, and be aware that you have enough change to go through it. Then make sure that you dry them, clean them, and make sure that you dry clean clothes that need to be dry cleaned, because it'll keep them in much better condition and you won't ruin your clothes. And then make sure Ashton, that we're following those funky
hieroglyphics.
Gideon, what are they?
Hieroglyphics.
Make sure that we're following the symbols that are on the back of the tags to make sure that we are not abusing our clothes.
Circle means dry clean, by the way. Just Google it.
See, there you go.
Makes life easy.
It makes life easy. So when in doubt, Google it. Just a couple other real quick tricks is try not to wash Anything that's got a bunch of lint on it with something that's a silkier fabric, because if not, you're picking at that for days and it's a mess. Make sure that if something says don't throw in the dryer, make sure you pull it out. Make sure if you're hand washing only, means a little bit of soap, not a lot of soap, and just kind of wash it in the sink, hand wash it, and that's always an option. But most importantly, remember that, like Sabrina, she set a good example. It's always okay to go home, visit your parents. Don't have them do your wash because your mom won't. But do the wash in their washing machine, visit with them, let them make you Sunday dinner, and then you can go home with clean clothes in the back of your car, folded nice and neat, and ready for your next week.
The folding has to be a personal skill as well, but, you know.
Well, because there's just different preferences, right?
I think that if I wear them and they're going to get wrinkled when I wear them, what's the point in folding them?
Because you don't want them wrinkled when you put them on, because then you look like a mess.
I can't wait to bring Eric on for our guest speaker there and have him talk through nice clothes.
Roasted so hard. He's just quiet now.
Yeah, stand
What's
silent.
the best way to get out of a hole?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right. So, really, that's a load.
Wow.
That was probably not the right way to end that.
No,
All
it was
right,
good.
Take number 2.
That was a load. Thanks, guys.
Now that we're all washed up.
No, that's the end.
Now that we're all washed up.
Thanks for sticking with us through the dry cycle.
Thank you all for listening to today's podcast. If you enjoyed, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. We have a YouTube video on this very subject, actually. I psychically knew what we were going to talk about, so I did this Saturday. So please watch that, and we hope you guys will join us next time.
Welcome, dedicated podcast listener, to the end of episode 4 of Adulting Decrypted, where we talked about laundry, as you've already heard. Well, you know how Marvel movies started that whole craze with end credit scenes that set you up for the next episode? Well, Adulting Decrypted has their own sort of end credit scene, not setting you up for the next episode, but drive home the point for this episode. So, enjoy this song from Gene and Gideon to drive home the point about laundry.
I did my laundry. I did it for the very first time.
Doing laundry. Don't hand wash those that you're not supposed to.
Not supposed to.
Dry clean that which you should.